The TV era, Nicktoons' first era, ended on April 6, 2003, and with the TV era ending, the Splat Era took its place. The Splat Era would be the first era where the channel was only named Nicktoons, dropping the TV from the channel's name. The logo for this era would be changed to make it more similar to the main Nick channel, turning the logo into a Splat logo, but instead of white text on an orange background, there's orange text on a white background, although a logo with white text on an orange background was also used, but less frequently. The schedule for the first year of the Splat Era was pretty much the same as the schedule for the TV era, except for one new show, that show being Charlie Brown. The channel still wasn't ad-supported during this era, meaning that it still played the same shorts and interviews as the last era with the addition of a few new ones. The first set of bumpers made for this era were pretty bright and flashy. These first set of bumpers would be made in CG and would have recurring themes of lights, science, technology, and electronic music. The Up Next and Now Back 2 bumpers were pretty much the same as the generic bumpers, but with a small banner of text near the top containing information about the next Nicktoon. A new addition to the channel during this era would be Up Next banners. These banners, which would only rarely play, would be This Is, Up Next, and Up Next More. The screen bug during the first year of this era would be the Splat logo, as well as a variant with inverted colors. The position of the screen bug was in the bottom left corner instead of the bottom right corner of the previous era's screen bug. On February 21st, 2004, the Splat Era got an update. The new updated logo for the second part of the era would have the same shape as the first logo from the first part of this era, but in 3D with the gray splat and blue text. Nicktoons would also premiere its first unique new show on the same day that the era updated, on February 21st. This show, Corneille and Bernie, would be a dub of a French show. 4 other new shows would premiere during this era, as well as the first Nicktoons Film Festival. New Nicktoons that would premiere on the main Nick channel would air on the Nicktoons channel during this era. Some new shorts would also premiere. The new bumpers for the second part of the era would feature more 2D animation as well as some in live action. There would also be a lot of bumpers taken from Nickelodeon Latin America and used with the logo from the first part of the era. The bumpers from the first part of the era, as well as the logo, were still used during the second part of the era. The second part of the era had no new Up Next or Back 2 bumpers, except for one used for one of their new shows. The Splat Era is the first era where Nicktoons started to celebrate special events such as holidays, and new bumpers for these special occasions would also be used. The only banners used for the second part of this era would only be for certain shows, those being Leader Dog Unleashed, Yakety Yak, and Tortellini Western. The main screen bug used during the second part of this era would be the spinning silver and blue logo, as well as transparent and non-spinning versions. Screen bugs used for special events and holidays would also be introduced during this era. The Splat Era would come to an end on September 23, 2005, after a little over 2 years on air. I think this was a really interesting era with very interesting bumpers. Albeit I'm not too big on the non-Nicktoons shows being on a channel called Nicktoons, but this is still nonetheless a pretty good era.